Hey guys, welcome back to.
Let's jump right back
Oh,
into
okay,
it.
Welcome back to O.
Where
No.
we take to
No.
different places.
Take it away.
Take it away, girl. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Welcome back, fellow Ventures and Planeswalkers. This is the Night of Argos. My name is Justin,
My name's Brandon.
Lee.
and today we're going to talk about Magic the Gathering. So, as you know, a couple of new sets came out, and I'm not too familiar, but I recently bought a couple of booster packs, and I was introduced to the mutate mechanic and the counters that give certain abilities like death touch, vigilance, and first strike, and things of that nature. So those are really good mechanics for commanders like Atraxa. So I'm definitely gonna look into that later on down the road.
Yeah, we're definitely excited with all the sets that are coming out, like Ikoria and the new 2021 core set that just came out, and we're super excited to look into those new Planeswalkers and all those new spells. We've been playing Commander for a while now, so it's fun to get these new cards and add them to the decks we already had.
And with that, we'll let Brandon take over and talk about his commander, Rith the Awakener.
What's up, you guys? It's Brandon, and welcome back. So, before I start talking about my commander, I want to talk a little bit about how I started getting into Magic the Gathering. So, when I was about a freshman in high school, my older sister's friends decided to show me what Magic was and try to teach me, so I was introduced that way. Easy, simple. They had a library full of cards, and they let me kind of skim through them and pick which ones I liked. And of all of them, I remember the River Boa, great card, but it was green. So I really focused on green, and that's how I kind of started delving into this with the idea that green was the best color. Still is, in my opinion. So I started playing in high school with my older sister's friends who were also D&D friends, and then I found a group of people in my high school who also played Magic and also played D&D. So they were the ones who I kind of played with, and kind of started collecting my cards, buying boosters and pre-built decks, and even going to card shops or game stores and playing, Friday Night Magic. It was fun. Then, after we finished high school and we all graduated, I stopped playing for a while because I didn't know anyone that played. My older sister's friends had also graduated college and were away from my hometown, so I didn't play. Then, a couple years later, while in college, I met a group of friends, including Lee and Justin, but Justin I'd known a while back, and we got back into it, especially because Justin was so into Magic and Commander and stuff like that, so we kept playing, and then I started getting new cards. So yeah, that's kind of like how we dove into here. Rith was part of a pre-built deck thing that I got. I'll tell you how old it was. It was from the Dual Decks Phyrexia versus the Coalition, which was in 2010. Yeah, that was baby high school Brandon. So I've had my commander for 10 years now. It's crazy. So I jumped into it because I like green. Pretty much all the commanders I run have green in them. So yeah, I really like his mechanic of using lots of saprolings and tokens. Well, we'll get into that right now. So let's dive into the commander. So my commander is Rith the Awakener. He is 3 colorless and Naya colors, which is red, green, and white. He is a 6/6 dragon with flying and reads, when Rith the Awakener deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2 colorless and a green. If you do, choose a color, then put a 1/1 green sapperling creature token onto the battlefield for each permanent of that color. Crazy, I know. There's a whole set of these dragons that have to deal with a certain color, and this was the green one, so obviously, kind of pulled toward it. But it's really fun. It's a lot of sapperlings, it's a lot of tokens, and it's a really fun, interesting dynamic in the game because it has to deal with a permanent color. So the first one really has to deal with whatever color is most out on the field. If I'm playing in a 4-person game and all 3 are running black cards, then black may outnumber green in the permanent color system, until I can create these sapperlings. But the whole point of my deck is to have tokens out, so hopefully it's not at that point. So yeah, this is a lot of saprolings and tokens, as I said, and really just using those as walls as well as flooding my opponents, and even using them for convoke abilities on these cards. First, I'm going to talk about the creatures that I put into this deck, which are either used to create more tokens or buff up my tokens. So first is Dragon Lair Spider. Easy, creating 1/1 green insect creature tokens whenever an opponent casts a spell is pretty powerful, because each opponent's going to be casting hopefully a couple spells per turn, just getting their board out. So every time they do that, I'm creating more tokens, as well as having this really big defender, which I can use even against people in the air. Second is the Mycoloth, which is very common in our play group. So everyone knows how big of a threat that is, especially because of my deck that likes a lot of tokens out on the field. This is a go-to target so that my upkeep doesn't happen so many more turns with the Mycoloth out. And those are a couple of the main extra creatures that I like to use to create more tokens. As well, I have things like Phantom General, Kenra Charioteer that help buff up not only my tokens, but well, the Phantom General pumps up the tokens, but the Kenra Charioteer pumps up everything and gives them trample. So, overall buffs like that, as well as the Thenolite Hermit, if I can transform it and get it with or morph it with that extra mana to get those saprolings, it's great. If not, even using it for the +1/+1 for the saprolings is really, really beneficial. I started learning that with this deck, I don't run as many creature spells. There are more than this, obviously, but a lot of it has to deal with getting tokens out through other means like spells and my commander. So yeah, there's kind of a little bit less creatures than you would expect in a deck like this, but it works. Next, I'm going to talk about lands. As Justin has said many times, lands are very important, and besides the 9 basic land cards I have in this deck, the rest are very, very interesting, either dual color lands or guild gates or specialty lands. My favorite, which I'm going to talk about first, is Colony Garden. So Colony Garden enters the battlefield tapped, but when it enters the battlefield, I put a 0/1 green plant creature token onto the battlefield, and I can tap it for green mana. So this land is really, really cool because it's green mana, which is most of the deck's composition, as well as it creates a token when it's played. So exactly what I want for this deck. As well, I have bounce lands, so if Colony Garden is out first and then I can just bounce it back later, when it enters the second time, it's going to create another token. If I don't need that mana right away, that's perfect. That's just putting out more blockers, more walls, which is exactly what my deck wants to do. Then I have a couple things to help beef them up, so Oran Reef the Vastwood and Gavany Township. Like I said, there's a lot of green creatures that are going to be entering with these spells that create the saprolings, so the Oran Reef really helps buff those up really quickly, and Gavany Township can help out everything across my board. Next, I have Grove of the Guardian, which is a really good land to have just in case there's like a big board wipe and I have nothing for presence, and hopefully I have enough mana to sacrifice it and create one big token as well. Last, I have Skarg the Rage Pits, and that one is specifically pointed toward Rith. So a big part of this deck is having Rith's ability where he can deal combat damage to a player and create all these saplings. So if I can't, because an opponent has a 1/1 flyer that they can use to block, that's going to stop the whole process. It's going to stop me from getting my tokens to use for convoke abilities and, every other value engine I can get with them. So if I have a land that can easily give Rith trample, that'll help so much to get that combat damage into a player. Next, I'm going to be talking about spells that are all about tokens. Creating more tokens, buffing up tokens. That's what I want. So first, I have Intangible Virtue, which is a really low-cost enchantment that can help buff up all my tokens as well as give them vigilance. So that really helps me if I need to use them to attack, to apply pressure, but also need them to be my wall to help protect me from everyone else, especially the person I just attacked. Second, I have Coat of Arms, which is really good in a tribal deck. And this deck is technically not tribal, but maybe 90% of the tokens I create are saprolings. So a cool artifact like Coat of Arms really helps buff up the similar things like the saprolings, as well as anything else that's, repeated upon the field. It's kind of fun. Next, I have Parallel Lives, which is crucial for a deck like this. Any of my abilities that create these tokens are going to be doubled, which is amazing. Rith's ability is doubled. I have a lot of create 1 of this, 2 of this, so being able to double those is really, really important. And a lot of the people I play with know that, so that's probably one of the first enchantments they like to get rid of. Next is Second Harvest, which is a really cool spell that lets me double up all of the tokens I have. The one thing that's really, really cool about this is that I can play it at instant speed, so if someone is attacking me thinking they can get through my wall, I can just double up everything that I have, just doubling my power and just using that to be a bigger wall. Or when I attack people and they think they can survive it, I just double up and I create all of these tokens. It's a really fun, interesting instant. And last I have Pollen Bright Wings. This is a card that is very similar to Rith's ability, but the last part says when an enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green sapperling creature tokens. So where Rith cares about the number of permanents of a certain color, Pollen Bright Wings makes it that it's just the power of the specific creature. So if I can get this onto Rith, that's 6 sapperlings plus if I activate his ability. So this is something that I like to throw on maybe a little sapperling, because even the idea of 3 sapperlings every time one of these little things flies over and deals damage, and it's such a great value to add to my engine of my deck. So it's a really fun enchantment, and even if I can get on that Dragon Lair Spider, that'd be great. Last, I'm going to talk about some of the filler cards that I use for any of the situations that my friends like to run against me. So as you've seen with Justin's deck, and as you'll see with Lee's deck, there are different tactics that we all use when we're playing, so you have to be ready for all of them when we play. So Lee, for example, likes to run another token deck. So if he does that and he cancels out my flood, we have to have countermeasures. That's why I start pumping mine. That's why I do different things. But if he swings at me with a bunch of things and I'm not ready, I use Arachnogenesis, just to create that big wall as well as create tokens, which is a really, really, really good way to help survive in a sticky situation. Get it? Sticky, arachno, spiders, webs, and we'll move on. Next, I have Hour of Reckoning, which is a really, really cool board wipe, except, against Lee, because he likes tokens. But the best part about it is that it has the convoke ability, which means I can tap my creatures for colorless mana or mana of their type. You can read convoke, it's on there. So this is really fun that I can use my tokens to get rid of everything, but still have all my tokens out. It's just a really fun ability, as well as a really easy board wipe to use, especially if things start getting out of control. The only thing is you have to worry about if other people have tokens, because then it's not going to get rid of a lot of things. Next, I added Warstorm Surge, which you guys heard about when I was talking about Prossh, which is something that lets me deal damage every time something enters the battlefield, which is what my whole deck is about, creating sapperlings or creating tokens every turn. So if I can have that enchantment out and create 3 1/1 sapperlings, that's dealing 1 damage 3 times, 3 damage 1 time, so it can help me get rid of single target threats, like a Blood Artist or another utility creature that's in the back that I can just ping out before it gets out of hand. Next, I have Mentor of the Meek, which is a really cool card with this deck that I can use for a draw engine. I don't usually run a lot of drawing mechanics, which I probably should because it's really important, but one of the ways that I get around it is using something like Mentor of the Meek, where if I have a small creature enter the battlefield, I can draw cards, and that's exactly what my deck does, creating little sapperlings. So if I can use that to draw cards, that's going to be really, really helpful in a deck like this. Last is probably one of my favorite enchantments that is really fun to play against, and everyone really doesn't like to see it when it's out on the board, is Glare of Subdual. So with this, I can tap an untapped creature I control and tap target artifact or creature, and that is incredible because I can just stop things from attacking me, or even, tap things down so I can swing in for more damage. And with a token deck, I'm going to have untapped creatures to spare. I'm probably not going to be attacking with everything right away, You know, I can use 2 to tap down the 2 things that are going to block. As well, I can use this as a political, you know, mechanic, because if Lee decides to swing at Justin, but Justin has something big to block, I can very easily just pop one of my saplings and tap it down so that Lee can get in a better swing. You know, of course that's going to make Justin, you know, upset with me, but if it's going to help with my advancement of the game, I may definitely do it. So it's a really fun utility enchantment thing to help control the board a little bit more. Now that you guys have kind of taken a peek behind the 99 that's in my deck, let's move over to the other guys and see what they do when they're facing this deck.
Prossh. I picked up some cards to the best of my ability to counter Rith the Awakener and his sapling Overgrowth. So 2 of these cards I've showed and chose for our past video for against Prossh, but I think these are good against Rith as well. The first one is Dark Imposter. You can pay 4 colors, 2 black to exile target creature and put a +1/+1 counter on Dark Imposter. Dark Imposter has all the activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with it. Now this one, I can go ahead and use to exile Rith, and I can just use his abilities to make my own saplings. And then the second one that I chose was, again, Merciless Eviction. Choose one, either exile all artifacts, all creatures, all enchantments, or all planeswalkers. Now, if I'm not able to bring out Dark Imposter, I can either wait for Rith to bring out a lot of his saplings or have an overgrowth of it, and I can just exile all creatures on the field if need be. The third one is my very own commander, Edgar Markov. Whenever you cast another vampire spell, if Edgar Markov is in the command zone or in the battlefield, create a 1/1 black vampire creature token. Now, this is really good counter because I am actually making my own saplings in a way. It's just another vampire 1/1 token, right? So anytime I play either a vampire spell of any kind, I get a 1/1 vampire token. So that kind of counteracts Rith in a way. And whenever my commander attacks, on each vampire that I control get a +1/+1. So as my commander attacks, all of my vampires I control get a +1/+1 each time he attacks. So I think this is a great way to counteract Rith and his saplings.
Hey guys, so whenever I face Brandon's commander, which is Rith the Awakener, I try to focus on 2 main things, which is his commander and the tokens that it produces. For that, I'm going to talk about 2 of my commander decks, which is Prossh and Tessa, Envoy of Ghosts. So let me first go into Prosh's kind of deck. So here are some of the cards that I try to focus on getting whenever I face this opponent. The first card is going to be called Deadly Tempest. Destroy our creatures. Each player loses life equal to the numbers of creatures he or she controls that were destroyed this way. So if I wait until Brandon gets a bunch of tokens, then I can bring that board wipe into play and cause some major damage to Brandon's health total. Now the next one up is dealing with more of the commander itself, which destroying the commander and trying to make Brandon pay more and more each time he brings out that commander. One of those cards is Terminate, which is an instant, which is destroy target creature, it cannot be regenerated. So the main idea of that strategy is just to make Brandon pay more for his commander. Or I can do another strategy, which is simply taking control of his commander. Which one card that I can use from Prossh is Olivian Vanderin. Flying, so her first ability is pay 1 red. Olivian Vanderin deals 1 damage to another target creature. That creature becomes a vampire in addition to its other type. Put a 1/1 counter on Olivian Vanderin. But here's the real ability. Pay 3 generic and 2 black. Gain control of target vampire for as long as you control Olivian Vandarin. So once I control Brandon's commander, it will be eliminated from him using it and summoning it from his command zone. Now that I talked about like the Prossh's strategy, now I'm going to go into Tessa, Envoy of Ghosts. First off, I'm going to focus on the tokens on that one, which one card really does well, which is Authority of the Consuls. This is an enchantment. Creatures your opponent control enter the battlefield tapped. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you gain 1 life. So if Brandon brings attacks with his commander and then makes tokens, I end up having more life and all of his tokens are tapped. So that's one particular strategy. The other strategy is more defense, where this one could be Ghostly Prison, which is an enchantment. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature he or the controllers that attack you. So Brandon can't go overwhelming with all those tokens. He has to pay for 2 for each one. So that kind of controls the alpha, kind of like an alpha strike coming towards me. And then finally, just simply trying to focus on destroying Brandon's commander by having particular instances or sorceries. For one instant would be Doomblade, which is simply destroy target non-black creature, so that I can just try to make him pay more and more until he cannot pay any more for his commander. So fellow Venturers and Planeswalkers, we'll see you then.
That's it.
Oh, okay, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I got Alright.
Is he lying?
Nope. So, I'm becoming Lee.
What in the world? What? Oh. What do you have in that throat?
The GERD, I'm telling you! The acid!
Sounded
Ready?
like acid.
Like and subscribe to become a Knight of Argos, and let us know in the comment. I'm so sorry. I was thinking of the motion that I just did, but Lee's gonna keep it in. He's gonna edit it, and I'm so scared. Okay.
So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of us showing you how we deal with Brandon's commander, Rith the Awakener.
Like and subscribe to become a Knight of Argos, and if you have any other tactics to go against Rith, let us know in the comment section below so I can get ready for him.
Also follow us on Instagram in the description down below.
So with that, fellow adventurers and planeswalkers, till we meet again, take care. See you later.
Oh, I wasn't recording.
What?